Friday, November 15th. Welcome back to the Damon Bruce Show, brought to you by Ike's Sandwiches. Oh, yeah, baby. Today's live stream powered by BetUS as well, and it is really good to have you here. Like and subscribe. You hit that like button now. It is going to make the algorithm start singing, and I appreciate it when the algorithm sings. Thanks for being back here. If you're new here, welcome. It's been a very emotional week in the Bay Area. There's no doubt about it. I've got Danny Golding saying, great to see you in the KNBR chat yesterday. Isn't it, it dawned on me, and I did listen to Tom Tolbert's final segment sitting in my driveway in the car because it just felt like the right thing to do. I wanted one more sitting in the driveway listening to Tom. I know I'll never get one of those again. I'll never get another Steve Young and Tom or a Steve Kerr and Tom. And that really stinks. I mean, the soundtrack of the Bay Area changes with Tolbert going off the air today. Lamont and Tonelli did their last show. John Lund got a last show yesterday. I couldn't help but notice that I was ingesting an awful lot of these last shows on YouTube. And maybe that's the uphill battle that radio is climbing. I don't have a radio but for in my car in this house. So that's why I was there. And of course I consumed that game. Of course I consumed the show. Gary Radnich and I ended terribly, and I still 100% listen to Gary's last show. I'm a sucker for radio. Always have been, always will be. There are less of me in the world than ever before. There is no doubt about that, though. An emotional week in the Bay Area. I mean, think about where it all started. A win in Tampa, which left every single 49er fan still biting their nails. So, got no real happiness from a win in Tampa, even though all you needed to do was win down there, and boom, they did that. But then you had Debo versus Tabor Pepper. I mean, that was an emotional boil over. We don't even get, 48 hours removed from that. And we got to go through all the emotions that were happening at Chase Center with Klay Thompson's return and all the captain hats and the big greetings and the press conferences and the podcasts. And, Klay really appreciates all this after all. And then you find out hey, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, there's a little beef there now, right? The Splash Brothers no more. These guys are competing against each other. We had the most emotional reaction I think we have ever seen out of Steph Curry in a game. A week of emotions, and then you got Tolbert leaving after 28 years. You got bad news for John Lund. You got bad news for Tony Ryan. You got bad news for, unfortunately, another young man over there who I don't even know. A lot of layoffs, and then the layoffs came for Lamont and Tonelli, who end a 30-year run. One way or another, they've been on the air in the mornings for the last 30 years here in the Bay Area. You want to talk about soundtracks to lives. They were on the air for so long that they were the team that they were the show that you were listening to on your way to high school. And then you might have been listening to when you were bringing your own kids to school one day. That's how long they were on the air. And these relationships are special to me. They really are. And I might be a dying breed, but they are special to me. I'm sad when I know I'm doing something for the last time. Always. I get sad when I know I'm doing something for the last time. And that's the last time we're going to have just Tom Tolbert coming out of your radio on KNBR. Last time Lamont and Tonelli are going to be talking about Tata Tuesdays or Dirty Fridays or having fun over there. I hope Shasta's okay. I don't know. I texted her earlier in the day. I still haven't heard back from her. I hope she survived the purge. God. Sip of the day right there, by the way. Thank God we got this. Thank God we got YouTube. Thank God we have an avenue that allows us to keep connecting and hanging out with each other. I'm so grateful for this. And I'm very, very grateful for all of you and your support that you've given over here. Now more than 25,000 subscribers and growing. I thank you for the super chats. I thank you for supporting me mentally, emotionally. I mean, really, you guys don't even know what you mean when you show up to me and you give me a high five in person at a Plus Mania. It means an awful lot to me. So I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I really, really do. Stacy, thank God for you, Damon. Stacy, you're the sweetest. Thank you very, very much. Thank God for YouTube, right? I mean, thank God for YouTube. Tonelli's still going to be calling. Is still going to be the PA voice at Levi's. I hope so. I certainly hope so. Estimate Deus says, I'm a poor farmer, Damon. I'm sorry I can't give money. Oh, that's fine. Just hit like and subscribe, my man. Just hit like and subscribe. That's how you can support the channel as a poor farmer. I was raised a poor black child. Go ahead and support me by supporting with a like, a subscribe, by supporting the people who support me, starting with this guy right here. Ike of Ike Sandwiches. He's got a delicious sandwich just waiting for you today. And when you sign up for that Ike's Rewards program, you will get a free sandwich when you sign up. You will get prizes with every purchase, a chance to win free drinks, free chips, free combo meals, free add-ons. Go ahead and sign up for that Love Rewards program and be entered in for a chance to head to a very large football game being played at the Superdome in New Orleans in the month of February. Head on over to the Dubliner. Our good friends are just waiting to pour you a tall, cool one at the Dubliner on a nice hot day. Get to the Dubliner on West Portal. Fantastic bar. You will feel like you're right at home. I like the lighting in there. I like the sound in there. I like the TVs in there. And I certainly like Kenny and John. The bartenders are just waiting to take care of you. You go in and you tell the Dubliner that Damon Bruce sent you. And let me tell you, when you need to make a bet, I want to send you to BetUS. That is where you can get the best action you're going to find. Use promo code YouTube150 to sign up with a 150% sign-up bonus on your deposit, up to $2,000 in your first deposit. And I'm just going to tell you right now, there's no messing around. I'm feeling confident about the 49ers this weekend. How confident do you say? Well, here we are over on BetUS right here, right now. You see the 49ers minus 6.5? I am pushing, on that. I am taking the 49ers minus 6.5. And for the very first time this year, I'm going to put my biggest bet of the year down. I think the 49ers, you know what? I'm going to go 110 to win 100. What do you think of that? Hold on. We're going to do this Vegas style. 110, baby. 110 gets me. Oh, no, hold on. Let's not get crazy. 110 wins me 100. That's what I'm talking about. I think the Niners are going to beat the Seahawks this week. I think they're a much better football team than the Seahawks. Seahawks might be coming off of a bye. Seahawks might even get a little bit healthier. I think the 49ers look good this week. I think it with 110 of my own dollars. I hit place your bet and boom, confirm. And that is how you get things done over on BetUS. There it is, kids. I'm in for a hunch. If that ain't putting your money where your mouth is, what more do you want to see from me? What more do you want to see from me? McFly says, Damon, what's your fantasy record? That's one thing I do not want to show with you. I am having a terrible, terrible fantasy football season. Awful. I'd rather not talk about it. Ask me about the Indiana Hoosiers. I'll be happy to talk about them. Let's not talk about my fantasy football team. It ain't good. Look at it this way. I had Saquon Barkley on my team. I put him on the block a few weeks ago. I'm like, somebody better use this important piece because he's doing nothing for me. Come and trade for your boy. I got a poo-poo platter. I got James Conner back. I like that. But terrible fantasy week. And that's how we wrap up an emotional week, I guess, in the Bay Area with a terrible fantasy week, right? By the way, I had an awesome conversation with Mike Sliver this week. The video is out. I'm actually going to share that video with you here inside of this live stream. So if you haven't seen Mike Sliver, don't go anywhere. It's going to be like that interview is happening right here on today's show. Again, but it's been a very emotional week in the Bay Area. I mean, Tom Tolbert came to KNBR the first year that you got a flip phone. Think about how many phones you have been through since your very first flip phone 28 years ago. That's how long Tolbert was on the air. Unbelievable. Salute to all involved. So I really, really think that Brock Purdy remains perfect against Seattle this week. He's never lost to the Seahawks. He hasn't. And, there's a part of me that says, okay, so that means the Seahawks are officially due against this guy. That's how the pendulum swings in this league. But this is such a critical game that I don't think the 49ers are going to blow it. This is a critical game. And if the 49ers are going to the playoffs, they're not going to get there by winning the popular vote. I was talking about this with Kruger today on Wake Up. They're not going to win the popular vote. They're going to need to win the Electoral College. And the NFL's version of the Electoral College is you won your own division, right? You won your own division, right? That's how the 49ers are going to get in there. The winning of their division gets so much easier to see happening by taking care of business against Seattle this weekend. The last time they took on Seattle was back in week 6. It was a 36-24 win for the Niners, needing 13 fourth-quarter points to really put that game away. 3-touchdown day for Brock. It was a 103-yard touchdown day, 3 catches for Debo, couple of interceptions for Geno Smith. And this is where I think the Seahawks, it's tough to find the credibility in what they do. Seahawks defense is a little bit different than the last time the 49ers played them. Their linebackers, Terrell Dodson and Jerome Baker, were either traded or waived. That's when the 49ers ran all over them for 228 yards back in week 6. So you got new players out there, but it has not really ticked up their level of, okay, we're better against the run now. They're not. If you shut down Kenneth Walker III, if you prevent Kenneth Walker III from being the target out of the backfield that makes Geno Smith comfortable, I think you beat the Seahawks loudly. Sometimes stats do lie. And when you look at, who's the best passing team, average yards per game, it says the Seahawks are the most dangerous offense in football. They are not. They're not. Because they're really good at throwing the ball, kinda, but they're terrible at running the ball. So the truth is somewhere in the middle, and it makes them average. Geno Smith loves multiple turnover games. Like if he's got one, you can pretty much bank on another. And that's what the 49ers took advantage of earlier in the year. What they need to do is just shut down Kenneth Walker III. Again, DK Metcalf, really good, but not against the Niners. Tyler Lockett, he always gives the Niners a tough time. Jackson Smith and Jigba, look out for that guy. But if Kenneth Walker, who is this team's 4th leading receiver, is not involved in this passing game, that means Geno's got to go looking in places he'd rather not look for his completions. You take away the screen game from the Seahawks offense, and you take away the Walker is leaking out of the backfield patterns, and it's going to make everything on the Seahawks so much harder. And I really do think that this is a game where the 49ers could win this by 2 touchdowns. I like them a lot this weekend. And a big reason for that is Christian McCaffrey is back in the picture. With Christian McCaffrey in the picture, painting red zone success pictures has got to get easier. Some fluffy little clouds of McCaffrey, some nice trees, little Bob Ross putting it all together for you. I think Christian McCaffrey brings the entire painting that the 49ers are having trouble completing. Again, they'll do a great job. You're looking at this canvas and you're like, the last detail is just red zone success. I think they start finding red zone success now. That first game back with McCaffrey, I know that one, everyone wanted to see that game be the game where, oh yeah, they went to the red zone 4 times, 4 for 4. Didn't quite happen. But what are you doing all week long if you're Kyle Shanahan? Just not working on special teams plays. This entire week should have been spent just drilling special teams plays and red zone attempts. That's it. By the way, the negligence on special teams is one of the reasons why I'm going to play this Mike Sliver video for you in a little bit, because it really does speak to how this is just Shanahan seems to be unconcerned with special teams, which is, for a guy who's got such attention to detail, it's hard to understand it. It really, really is. True Blue Forever. Happy little trees. I got a Bob Ross t-shirt. I should have worn it today. Red zone, red zone, red zone. Like, I really do. I believe in Shanahan. I believe in CMC. I believe in Brock. I believe in Kittle. I believe in Debo. And all of those guys, I think, are about to be better from here on out than they were in their first 10 weeks of the year. I really believe that. I'm no fan. I'm no fanboy. I'm just looking at how this league operates. It's hard to keep a good team down long. Now, if the Niners don't make this dramatic, we're much better pivot, then it wasn't available to them. It just wasn't available to them. They got a little bit too old in the Super Bowl window. There it is, folks, and goodbye. I mean, like, that could be the reality too. I'll admit it. I think you're worried about it. That could be the reality too. But I don't think it's going to be. I think this team, again, third in offensive DVOA, fourth in defensive DVOA. The only other team with 2 top 5 units is Detroit, and everyone looks at Detroit and says, maybe the best team in all football. The 49ers haven't even come close to fitting that definition, but they're not as far away as some people think. And maybe even if it's a little of an illusion, show me the illusion. Fool me with how good you look against Seattle. Let me start overestimating your capabilities against a team that I just think that you're better than offensively and defensively. And if you don't turn the ball over and you don't shoot yourself in the foot, you win this game. Again, I hope I'm right. I just put $100 on it, which means the super should be flowing in. Big week. Big week. I think the 49ers are going to handle their business. And they have to. I mean, there really is no choice to do anything but that, right? There really isn't. You got to win your division. This is a division game, which means you got to have it. And then you got 2 on the road, baby. At Buffalo and at Green Bay. Just split those and you're where you need to be. Must win followed by a must split. That's how we've been framing the next 3 weeks of football. Must win followed by must split. And should the Niners be lucky enough to go 3-0, maybe we must start thinking about booking hotels in New Orleans. I don't know. Maybe not. But this is a big game. Again, there's just no other way to say it. They're all big games, really. But this one being a division game, it's just huge. It really is. It's huge. Albert saying, don't hype it up quite yet. It's going to be a grind. I hear you, Albert. I do. I hear you. Gizmo just put on a fresh pot and bowl. Hey, Gizmo, have yourself a Friday. By the way, Irwin, I see you in here, Irwin, as always. Irwin brought me 2 bags. What was it called? Andy Towns coffee. Irwin, this is the end of the Andy Towns coffee. That's how much I liked it. Those 2 little bags you dropped off. Fantastic coffee. Fantastic coffee. Thank you so much. We'll get to the weed later, too. Thanks to all of you for dropping that off as well. It is Andy Town. Andy Town coffee. Freaking delicious. So, again, it's been a draining week, man. Draining week. Jillian even, she got home yesterday and she's like, you seem a little off. You seem a little funny. I'm just like, it's rough watching something you love drown every day. It'd be one thing to go through like, oh, I really like that thing and it drowned and I watched it and it's over. But then I got to do it again tomorrow and then tomorrow and tomorrow. It's just, I'm watching radio just die. And I know it can't mean as much to you as it did to me. You didn't work in radio for 20 years. Imagine dedicating like your entire professional life to something that you realize is like, oh no, they don't even need that anymore. Thank God we're over here. Thank God we're over here. Thank God we are on YouTube and hanging out together and have started building back, a career and an audience that I think there's going to be more people coming than ever before. I mean, if there's one thing I'd like to thank radio for doing, it's, not only pushing me into the future, but you are doing everything humanly possible to push your audience over to me as well. Not only with the layoffs and the firings, but with the replacements. It's one thing to be a weekend board op who gets an opportunity. It's another thing to be a weekend board op who has never hosted a show of any kind. And now you're an afternoon drive host. Let's see what happens over there. I got no idea. I mean, if KMBR is smart, they'll beg Larry to do it. And if Larry is smart, he'll say, I'm really happy just hosting 49er Nightly. And I want to stay where I am and continue to pursue other opportunities, because putting all your eggs in a radio basket just is not a good idea in the world that we're all living in. Niners -6.5. Gizmo says it's ridiculous. I think it makes sense. It feels about right. Damon, pick Tom up on your show. It'd be great. Well, look, I think there's a little raw nerve still with Tom. I sent him a text. He hasn't gotten back to me yet, but I'm sure we'll talk soon. And yeah, if he's ready to do the exit interview, this is what I do. I do the Bay Area exit interview. So we'll maybe see him. This is Otis saying, agreed, Damon. It's crazy seeing KMBR and 95.7 the game change so drastically from where they are. And I think what really, again, it hurts. And you're a historian of Bay Area sports radio, Otis. I tell you that every time I see you, you paying attention so much to radio. You love it. And, watching guys who were the through lines to the past getting severed is what hurts. Who's going to be able to sit around and tell Ralph Barbieri stories the minute that, Brian Murphy's out of the room? It stinks. It stinks. How much great audio will they have to pretend kind of doesn't exist anymore because it involved Tolbert? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Hey, you got guys actually getting last shows. That's nice. I was not given a last show. I get it. I do. I know who I am. I'm acutely aware of the way I talk. Okay. I tell you what, before we move on to a couple of other things that I do want to talk about, I really do want to share this Mike Sliver interview with you, because Mike is one of the absolute best when it comes to talking sports, talking football. He is dialed in. He's worn about every single hat that you can wear as a football journalist, really. So what I want to do is I'm going to bring this front and center. How do I do that? How do I get rid of me? There it is. Wait, hold on. And welcome to Mike Sliver, a man who I think is hit for the official career cycle with his latest. You're now with The Athletic, Michael. It's been NFL Network, Sports Illustrated, all stops in between. Great to see you, man. How you doing?
Great, Damon. Thanks for having me.
It is really good to have you. Really good to see you. You've been blessed. You've been kissed on the head by a time traveler. You can go back in history to your favorite sporting event or your favorite concert. Which way are you going, Sliver?
I'm reliving something. It's something I have been to before. I mean, I have so many good choices. I was at the Play as a high school senior, which was a formative experience. But, my friends and I, we talk about how going to Cal in the mid 80s, we got to see so many Grateful Dead shows with Jerry in his prime, of course. And probably at the time we thought maybe we're going to too many. But in retrospect, we should have gone to more. So one more Greek show Mid 80s, Grateful Dead. Let me just have one more of those, and
one more Saturday night, right? I mean, come on.
Although I don't want to hear that particular song.
No, wouldn't want that. Wouldn't want that. You're right. Nothing off greatest hits. We want deeper cuts, of course. It's been so long since we've talked, Mike. Two members of the Dead have passed away, both Philip Lesh and Bill Walton, obviously. So it's good to see you, man. It's been too long. Congrats on the book, by the way. I know it's doing great. The holidays are around the corner. Sell it, baby. Sell it.
Yes, this is my new book, The Why is Everything. I think people are going to love it, especially around here, because it's about the Shanahan coaching crew, basically. So it starts with Mike Shanahan and gets into the Mike Shanahan, Steve Young resurrection in the early 90s when Mike Shanahan showed up as an embattled coach and became George Seifert's offensive coordinator. And then we get that Washington staff in the early 2010s that has now current head coaches Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Mike McDaniel, Matt LaFleur, Raheem Morris, and all their various offshoots. And there is a lot. I mean, we get into a lot of high concept stuff about how these guys think and how they've changed the game. But trust me, a lot of pettiness, a lot of dirt, a lot of behind the scenes stuff that people don't know, and very, very Niner heavy. So I think people are going to love it.
There's a generational torch being passed from one generation of coaches to another for sure. And obviously Shanahan's are at the center of this. Let's start with the 49ers. Obviously what surrounds us, they've got an awful lot of traits that good football teams need to have. They also share an awful lot of traits with bad football teams. The truth somewhere in the middle. Do you think that they become in the second half here, Silver, the team that nobody wants to face, or could it go in the other direction?
Well, it's certainly possible that they could become that team. And the arguments for would be, hey, Christian McCaffrey came back, looked like himself. If that holds up, that's a big, big deal, not just in terms of production, but scheme flexibility and some of the stuff I get into in The Why is Everything. But that's huge. And then presumably Dre Greenlaw, if he can come back and look like Dre Greenlaw, say in a couple of weeks, that's a huge boost to a defense that needs it. And so you combine that with just how much success Kyle Shanahan has had in these last few years with having these rough starts or rough points heading into the midpoint of the season and then turning it on and rolling, and you go, yeah, sure, that could totally happen. The arguments against would be, I think you bring up some good points. They have a lot of traits that, good teams don't possess. Special teams are an atrocity and a continuing problem. The defense has not overwhelmed people the way it did certainly 2 years ago when it was the number one unit in the league. There's some good things happening, but Javon Hargrave going out has left them less potent in the middle of the defensive line in terms of able to generate push and stop the run, which is a weakness, that interior run defense in the wide nine scheme. Greenlaw can maybe help some of that when he's back, but there's certainly some reasons where you would say, I don't know if it's going to happen this year. What they would be betting on is that their quarterback in his third year, Brock Purdy, can become more transcendent. And he's already been really, really good. But perhaps Brock Purdy can elevate to a degree where these other great players around him will help carry them to greater heights. And the offense will have a little more of the burden than it did, in the past.
It's like he sees the Matrix. Can he become freaking Keanu Reeves? Like that's what the 49ers really, really need. I am sure that a reoccurring theme in your book is Kyle Shanahan's almost painful attention to detail. And I know that he loves to explain, like you said in the title of your book, the why is everything. He's always explaining why things happen so players embrace the process even more. Why is a coach with so much attention to detail turning such a blind eye to a constantly occurring special teams issue? It seems against his programming.
I'm so glad you asked. So I wrote about this, recently left the San Francisco Chronicle after a couple of great years plus, and loved it. But one of the last columns I wrote was about the special teams atrocity. And really for me, so I got to take people back. I started covering the 49ers in 1989 for the now defunct Sacramento Union. I was just out of college. And then after that for the Santa Rosa Press Democrat. And that was George Seifert's first year, 89, coming off the Walsh years. And Seifert's special teams coach was a really nice man named Lynn Stiles, who had been his college roommate at Utah State. And the 49ers did not have very good special teams in those years that I covered them. And we always joked, well, George isn't going to fire his college roommate. But the degree to which they would live with that was, in retrospect, kind of striking. And I always tell people, their attitude back then was, people say special teams are a third of the game. It's really more like, I don't know, a ninth. And we're so good on offense and defense that whatever, we'll just win anyway.
Right,
and
don't blow it there. Don't give games away there, and that's the job.
Well, listen, I mean, you have Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Ronnie Lott, Steve Young, some of the greatest players of all time. And they were still winning, most of their games, even though their special teams weren't good. So it's really informed the way that I see special teams. I think decades later, I still haven't seen them as important as a lot of other people do. And yet I've been exposed to people who care so much about them, the Belichicks of the world. So when I was writing this column for the Chronicle, I got two people on the phone who I know care about him. And one was Pete Carroll and one was Mike Vrabel, who came out of the Belichick,
sure.
zone, obviously. And they explained to me why they valued it and what it meant. But with Pete, it was really cool because his special teams coach in Seattle when they were really good was Brian Schneider, which would tell me that since he's the 49ers special teams coach now, it might not be him. It might be an organizational thing. And secondly, I said to Pete, because Pete got there in 95, and I had gone to Sports Illustrated, but I was still around a lot. And that's kind of how I got to know Pete Carroll. And I said, this is what it was like when I was there in terms of how they viewed special teams. Is that what it was like when you got there? And he goes, yeah, totally. They just, George was still the coach. He goes, they didn't care. Kyle Shanahan, for all his brilliance and gifts as a head coach, does have some interesting ways of expressing things that, people criticize. And one thing he has expressed since I've been around more on more than one occasion is that he just wants special teams not to screw it up. He views it as, look, you can really hurt us by being bad, but we're not shooting for being the difference here. And that's a weird way to think. And he has even said, David, I remember last year, somebody talked to Kyle about how he never fakes punts. And he essentially said, that's what teams do that need gimmicks to win. We think we can win just on offense and defense. We don't have to steal possessions around here, which is an incredibly arrogant sounding, thing. And
right. It's like, hey, I appreciate a good old, fashioned musket warfare, but there's also guerrilla warfare and the element of surprise work.
We don't need to sneak around or fool you. We're so smart with our play calling and our scheme that we'll just, win it that way. So Kyle has said things like that. He has said, I want special teams not to screw it up. And so I think this permeates very much from the top. Brian Schneider is very likely going to take the fall for this as the special teams coach. And that's just the way the league works. But he was Pete Carroll's special teams coach when they were really, really good for a long time. I think this is an organizational ethos, and it hasn't always been that way from the time I'm talking about till now, because when Harbaugh was there, I think they cared more. There have been times where they really cared about special teams, but that's the Walsh Seifert, origin, that it wasn't super accentuated.
Right. We're going to student body left, student body right. Here it comes. It's a little bit more complicated than that right now. Speaking of a little complicated, I think Aaron Rodgers has been wearing that crown for quite a while for a lot of different reasons, right? And now the Jets feel more complicated than they were ever supposed to feel. Maybe if they had just stuck with Zach Wilson, for goodness sakes. Firing Saleh was the wrong plan. The Jets are a mess.
It's dysfunction junction. You're not wrong. And it starts from the top. And that's Woody Johnson. And there's a school of thought that, I haven't worked for NFL Network for a few years now. And there's a school of thought that now that I'm at The Athletic, I should bring back owner rankings, which I did for SI and Yahoo for years and years. And if that happens,
NFL Network frowned on that column.
It just felt like since they own the network, it was a good time to take a little break.
Okay.
But now I don't work for them anymore, so I would love to
bring it back.
Love to bring it back. But if I do, which there's a decent chance I will, Woody Johnson is not going to have to worry about like the headline and what comes below it.
Burnout. We all experience it at some point. It's so important to me that I've actually been working on it in therapy. In fact,
he's going to have to scroll really, really, really far down, if not all the way down, because he's one of the worst owners in the league and in sports. And there are a lot of reasons for this. And one of them is that he's impulsive. He acts like a fan, like he acts like a guy on Twitter. Oh my God, my team's losing. Fire this guy. We need to do this. We should trade for him.
Change the quarterback, change the GM, always.
And look, good owners fire coaches and change quarterbacks and oversee that. But there's a process. There's a conviction in what you believe. There's a listening to your football people, and there's an organizational stability over time. This is a guy who will come up with a plan and then make a left turn because who knows why. Somebody got in his ear, or he saw something on social media, or someone in our business said something. And going all in on Aaron Rodgers wasn't necessarily a terrible idea, given where the Jets were, in that the Buccaneers did it with Tom Brady, and he was even older, and they got a Super Bowl.
Hey, it really worked for 4
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest players of all time. And I understand the impulse to go get him, and I understand if you're going to get him, let's surround him with some people that he thinks can help him win. They went a little far in that direction, and obviously he got hurt, and they are not in a very good spot.
Mike, speaking of not a good spot, if you had a lot of feedback from either your coaches or the guys on your team saying, well, there's this spot in the stadium that I'm getting sun glare so severely through, could we just pull a curtain closed there? Do you think that would be a wise strategic move for an NFL franchise to stop a sun from blinding their offensive attempts?
I think, when things go bad, we look for excuses, and sometimes things just go bad. Dak Prescott's out for the year. DeMarcus Lawrence has been out. Micah was out. And some of it is, it's very fair to look at the Cowboys and go, he said he was all in. He didn't get aggressive over the offseason. I think once you start losing and looking for excuses, then it's, well, they have tours in their building. Really? Like, that shouldn't be a reason. And maybe CeeDee Lamb got blinded on one play, but the difference between Jerry and Woody Johnson is like the difference between, CeeDee Lamb couldn't catch the ball because the sun was in his eyes, and the former and soon-to-be future president staring at the eclipse early in his tenure last time, when they said to everyone, you got to wear these special glasses or do not look at the eclipse. And he was just like, ooh, like, I think, that would be my analogy of Jerry versus Woody.
Okay. So you were around the Commanders like in some dark days for a while there. And now look at what a difference an ownership change and a quarterback will do. It's been 30 years since this franchise has mattered. Generations of football fans don't even really understand like how big the Redskins used to be and what a monster they were. And it feels like a serious giant is starting to wake up again a little bit.
Yeah. And, I could say, look, it's early. We're not, we don't know if they're quite there this year. But the reason it feels like that, two reasons. One, they got rid of one of the worst owners ever in sports and seem to have good ownership. And two, they have a young quarterback who looks transcendent the way CJ Stroud did last year. And that changes the vibe considerably. Yeah, I'm really happy for them. I'm happy for their fans. And they have a chance to, do some cool things in the short term and certainly in the long term. Wow, it could get really, really cool.
Let's wrap up with this, Mike, because I saw a tweet from Rich Gannon, who's a guy I used to do like a weekly interview with. I like Rich Gannon an awful lot. He's a smart guy. He knows about the sport. He cares about it. He understands the history, the future. He sees a lot of the Matrix. And he was talking about how I think 30 head coaches have been cycled through over just the last 4 years. And he says it all comes down to the fact quarterback play is dreck. If he's right about that, how has that happened with us living in the single most obsessed with football moment in time in recorded human history? How is the specialized coaching of quarterbacks from almost zygote not produced a better generation of quarterbacks that the NFL is getting fed to them through college, through high school? Where is the break in what happened to great quarterback play, if you agree with what Rich Gannon even said in the first place?
I would say this. It has changed considerably, and this does relate to my book, The Why Is Everything, somewhat, in that, for a long time it was, we have a system, I have a system, and we're going to draft a quarterback, and we're going to make them learn this system, and, if they have to sit and wait for a while, that's fine, but they're going to learn this system and do it our way. And this group, the Shanahan-McVay crew, is much more willing to say, let's just see what they do well, throw them in, and we'll change our system. The most glaring example of that, which we get into heavily in the book, is when RG3 gets drafted in 2012, and Kyle Shanahan and all those assistants end up doing something super radical, which is they transport the entire Shanahan outside zone scheme and run it out of the pistol, which is all RG3 knew, and took the league by storm that first year. It was crazy. So I think, quarterbacks are playing right away. Coaches in general are more willing to just say, fine, we'll run college stuff. We'll run RPOs. It doesn't have to be this super sophisticated pro stuff like it used to be. We'll just run, stuff they can do from the jump. And I think the last piece of this is that college offenses have gotten way more, way less sophisticated. And so you're not seeing offensive linemen prepared, certainly, for what has been the NFL's way of running offenses. And you're not seeing quarterbacks prepared. And really, this started a while back, like Alex Smith, great example. He came from Urban Meyer's. So that's been accentuated. You have guys who just aren't as pro ready by what were pro standards. So that's maybe part of what Rich is seeing.
Here we are at the halfway point. Does it feel Lions Ravensy to you? Lions Chiefsy? What kind of a Super Bowl do you think we're going to be looking at, Mike Sliver?
I mean, you always just pick the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes is inevitable. But I'm going to go out, I think, and spend some time in Detroit, see the quarterback who, that's his college helmet above me. I know him well. Try to get a little sense of what they're doing. And, I'll have some fun stuff coming up.
All I can say about the Lions is it might be your year when you're on the road throwing 5 interceptions and still winning. That's, just throwing that out there. Great to see you, Mike. Thanks so much for stopping on by. You take care, man. Let's do it again sometime soon. Thanks for watching. Boom. And there he is, Mike Sliver, in a video that we just put up, but I wanted to share that with you. And I'm sorry, True Blue Forever. I thought that we left in the part of that. Mike and I talked for about half an hour, 40 minutes, and then we cut it down to 20 minutes. The Rams helmet on the shelf behind Mike Sliver. Mike wrote the book that became a TV movie about Kurt Warner. And Kurt Warner and the cast of that movie all signed that Rams helmet for Mike Sliver. So that's why there's a Rams helmet behind Mike Sliver, along with his Cal helmet. And I think someone noticed the Cleveland Brown helmet up there too. Again, Browns don't bother anybody. You don't have to worry about their helmets at all. But anyways, that was a great conversation with Mike Sliver. And in case you missed that video, we just showed it to you right there. And obviously that was recorded before the Commanders got stomped on Thursday Night Football. So, proceed accordingly with any and all football discussion that happens here on the channel. Cheers. It's great to see you once again. Again, thank you very, very much to all of our sponsors today. We could not do it without them. My man Ike has got something absolutely delicious just waiting for you. Download the Ike's Love Rewards program. Start ordering your sandwiches there. Get yourself signed up for free prizes and a chance to go to a very large football game in New Orleans at the end of the football season. Our friends at the Dubliner, they got the door open and they're ready to have you come into the Dubliner West Portal this weekend. Want a little drink? You want to duck in? You want to wait for a table at Elena's? Come over to the Dubliner and West Portal and have a sip and hang out a while. Great, great neighborhood bar. And of course, we are powered today by BetUS. We put $100 today on the 49ers, -6.5 over on BetUS. And when you sign up using promo code YouTube150, you get yourself a 150% sign up bonus. So check that out over on BetUS. That is your first deposit up to $2,000. And that's how it all goes. Tonight, are you going to give in to temptation? Will you be turning into Netflix for the human cockfight that is apparently Mike Tyson against, what is his name? Was that Chris Paul, Logan Paul, Rue Paul? One of them Pauls. One of them. We got ourselves a kind of interesting fight. I don't know what to believe. I don't know if this thing is just a straight up money grab. That slap looked totally premeditated. Mike Tyson he's great at selling a fight. I don't know if he's great at fighting anymore. Having said all that, it's Mike Tyson. You would think that he would be able to knock out Logan Paul, but at the same time, Logan Paul looks pretty steroided out, and he's a legitimate trained to be a fighter and is much younger than the guy who is 60 years old at this point, Mike Tyson. It's like, I'm a little bit interested. It's a little bit sad. And having said all of that, I'll watch a little bit. We got Warriors and Grizzlies tonight at Chase Center. That's going to be interesting. But, on another screen, I'll probably have Netflix on and I'll probably morbidly curiously watch this game, this fight, but I would never spend $2 million. If it were pay-per-view, I wouldn't be interested at all. But again, I'm already paying for Netflix. And so if that's where it's going to be, okay, I'll check it out. I'll watch it. Somebody, though, Torque Law, which is a law firm down in Los Angeles, bought what was being offered as the ultimate VIP package to this Mike Tyson Paul fight. A $2 million ticket. $2 million? What do I get for $2 million? Well, I'll tell you. That better include some food and beverage, you would think. So Ryan Smart of the Sports Bible broke down what was offered as a $2 million ticket, the ultimate VIP package. You tell me if this sounds worth it to you or not. This game's going to be at Jerry Jones' Stadium in Dallas. The package comes with a series of pre-fight benefits, including access to all events that take place through the fight week. So all your weigh-ins, all your press conferences, all of that happening, you got access to that for the $2 million ticket. In addition, the ticket holder is given a set of autographed gloves from Paul and Tyson, as well as receiving a personal escort and a 2-night stay at the Lowe's Arlington Hotel. 2 whole nights stay? I thought you said I was allowed to go to all the week leading up to it. So it's not even a week stay in the hotel for $2 million? Okay. It says I get an escort. What's that mean? What's that mean? For $2 million, have I reserved myself a little post-fight puss? Is that what you're telling me this is? Because that feels illegal. A personal escort. I don't know exactly who that is, a man or a woman, what she looks like, what she's willing to do. I don't know what that means. Is that part of this? a personal escort and 2-night stay at the Lowe's Arlington Hotel. Well, once you get to AT&T Stadium, the ticket holders, 6 people in total. So if you bought your VIP tickets, you actually got 6 tickets. 2 of them, apparently, you get a pre-fight tour of the locker room. Well, I doubt either fighter is dressing in the Dallas Cowboys locker room, so I don't know what that entails. These VIPs will be shown to a specially built ringside suite, which hosts 2 people. These 2 people are elevated above the rest of the crowd and get the best view of the action between the ropes. The other 4 people don't get a bad deal. They're not sitting on the ringside thrones. You get 1 each for your $1 million. $2 million for the VIP package, but your 4 buddies who are coming with you do also sit ringside. They're just not elevated, but they're row 1 ringside. And that's the end of the perks. That's it. Like, I don't have, you're not serving me my own kimono dragon for dinner. There isn't some special meal built into this entire thing. There isn't some VIP dining experience, which is wrapped up in all of this. Do I get a free hot dog at the very least at the fight? $2 million to watch Tyson and Logan Paul. It was purchased by Torque Law. And all I can tell you is you got to be the dumbest group of attorneys in the world to buy that $2 million for that. It sounds like you just got ripped off. Oh, congratulations. You get autographed Mike Tyson gloves. Those wouldn't have even cost you like 10 grand in a memorabilia shop. You know, Torque Law is what, going to try to get a little bounce off of this, try to get some fame off of this, try to get some promotion off of this. It's just not worth it. And it's just not, unless tonight on Netflix, they're running Torque Law ads. It ain't worth it. Kind of a douchey thing. Again, you had $2 million. You could have literally changed the arc of several families' lives with $2 million, but you decided to go to Mike Tyson and Logan Paul. Kind of a douche nozzle move, if you don't mind me saying. And that's really all we got for you today. A little day in history is how we will end this broadcast. But real quick, there was a comment last night on one of the videos about the end of Tolbert and KNBR's decisions. And it said, I had a great show yesterday with my buddy Sam Batesh talking all about it. And he said, fantastic show. It really means a lot that you guys are talking about Bay Area radio culture in this light. So many things are getting thrown in the trash these days that don't necessarily need to be. Cherish the good times that we had because it doesn't look like great times are coming forward in the future. I would have to agree with that. You know, all of the people who are really good at their job are now officially making too much money to stay in their job. What's that leave for you, the listeners, other than a, entire broadcasting day parade of the cheapest available options, and wait until you hear the difference between the cheapest available option and the radio that you used to know. It's going to be stark. I do know that it's going to drive more people to YouTube. It's going to drive more underserved listeners to YouTube. So it's good for me, but it's bad for radio, and that it hurts my heart. It really does. Evolve or die. San Bruno Mike says, I admit I look forward to this day in history section of the show. It's almost as popular as Sip of the Day. I can't believe that Sip of the Day has ever actually freaking captured anyone's imagination, but it has. Thank goodness. Damon, I work at KOME radio station. They just laid all of us off. In Charlotte, in Albany, in Chicago, look at it this way. If you work for a Cumulus station, they're going through massive layoffs right now. iHeart just went through its massive layoffs. Well, I guess that's going to leave Beasley Media and Good Karma. That's another. I mean, it's the end of the year. all corporate anything comes with end of the year layoffs these days. And it's sad. It really, really sucks. Just in time for the holidays. Just in time. Today in history. Are you ready? Happy heavenly birthday to Georgia O'Keeffe. Now, today would have been her birthday, but she died at the age of 98 all the way back in 1986. All I can tell you about Georgia O'Keeffe is that she came into her fame very late in life and spending an entire life, obviously, painting vagina flowers really paid off for her in the long run. I'm sure you've seen a ton of Georgia O'Keeffe's vagina flowers in your life. So congratulations to the vagina flower queen herself, Georgia O'Keeffe. Today would have been her birthday. Today in 1959, the Clutter family was discovered murdered in their Kansas farm. Their deaths, as well as their capture, conviction, trial, and execution of two drifters is where Truman Capote wrote In Cold Blood from. In Cold Blood is one of the great books of all time. There's a lot of movies about this book. Truman Capote is a movie that, Philip Seymour Hoffman is awesome as Capote in the movie. But this day in history is the day that the family that was killed by the two drifters that became the book In Cold Blood, that it actually happened. And Truman Capote changed the way books were written in that book. And probably in that moment, without even knowing, launched a billion TV crime procedurals, several years later. Today in 1904, shaving got a lot easier. Today in 1904, people, think about the people that you know today and what absolute incompetent knuckleheads they were. And I'm just saying, men, ladies, incompetence and knuckleheadery can come in either sex. Imagine having to shave with a straight razor. A straight razor. Imagine how many people with their impossible to find attention to detail would be cutting their jugulars if they still had to shave with straight razors. Ladies, I don't know, did ladies shave their legs with straight razors back in the day? Yeah, I'm guessing this is why Georgia O'Keeffe was painting a lot of bushy vagina flowers, because you wouldn't want to go down there with a straight razor. Today in 1904, Gillette, the best a man can get, officially came into focus. American inventor King Camp Gillette, that was his name, King Camp Gillette, was granted a U.S. patent today for the first disposable razor blades in 1904. I feel like I should have shaved. I didn't shave today. I should have shaved to share that with you. But Gillette, the best a man can get. Is anybody else doing a show about Gillette disposable razors today? I don't think so. Leslie saying, hey, I don't think shaving your legs started until after the jazz age. Yeah, you're probably right. I'm anti-Gillette Mafia. I've graduated to Harry's razors myself. But yeah, think about it. 120 years of saving jugulars. Gillette, the best a man can get. Gillette, the best you ladies' legs and chochas can get. Between Georgia O'Keeffe and the Gillette story, there's a lot of choch on this show today. Okay. Speaking of boxes, today in 2001, Microsoft gave us the Xbox. I had an Xbox. I did. I had an Xbox. I've since gone back to PlayStation. I got a PlayStation 5 sitting right over there. But how about that? The first Xbox video game console was released today in 2001. I liked Xbox. I liked the game Halo, which is exclusive to Xbox. I always thought that though the remote was just the controller was just a little too chunky. I never really liked the controller. I think that brought me back to PlayStation. By the way, rockin' New Era 84. Yeah, lots to talk about razors recently. Razor, shout out Ralph. Go ahead, Tommy. Pick one. Pick one. Yeah, pick one. Let's take a call. Pick one. I'm going to miss those guys forever. And speaking of missing guys and significance in sports, today in 2011, Mike Krzyzewski recorded his 903rd career win to pass Bobby Knight as the winningest coach in NCAA Division I history. This basketball right there, signed by Robert Montgomery Knight, a signature that is no longer available. And there it is. That is your show today. It's a very emotional week. I invite you to join me for the watch party that we'll be doing Sunday afternoon for 49ers and Seahawks. I hope you plan on coming on by. I really do. That studio will be up, and you can start waiting in it a little bit later on this afternoon if you really need to. But I will hopefully see you on Sunday right here on the Plus. You'll join me for another watch party. Thank you for being a part of this party today. And again, thanks to Ike's, thanks to the Dubliner, thanks to BetUS, and thanks to all of you for being a part of this. It means the world to me that you've found me over on YouTube, and we will keep on rocking this. It's clearly all ball bearings. It's all the future. Plastics, kid. It's all the future. YouTube. It's the future and the present. My goodness. Thank you so much for tuning in. And please do remember, my good friends, that sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, he's gone.